Hi, my loves, Dream Little Girl from around the way, where we have culture, conversation, and community. And in today's video, I'm coming to you all with a review of Auntie's podcast. This is episode 5. We have Mama D as the guest. Y'all, before I hop into it, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get these likes up. So if you're here and you're here early, sister, just go ahead and hit that quick like button. It literally costs you nothing. So let's just hop into it. If you watch my reviews, if you're here and you've been around, you've been holding it down with Rhoda Brown, then you know that I'm really feeling the Aunties podcast. I wasn't really interested in seeing Mama D because it's like, girl, what you finna talk about the palace and Scrappy and everything, but it worked. It made sense. So let's just hop into it. Okay. So Karlissa and Tokyo Tony, apparently they're matching. And Tia's over there getting it popped off, like, oh, but y'all was on a blind date last night. Y'all went out, yeah. You know how she talked with her mouth all open, she a little country. Which I was on her. She was just like, no, girl, don't you even be starting it. Don't start with me. Don't start with me. Whatever. So I just thought that was cute. Tokyo and Karlissa really pick and choose when they're going to be BFFs, when they're going to be girlfriends. Apparently, they're girlfriends today. So Carlissa is like, well, y'all think I'm as bad as Mama D? And it was like, well, what you mean? What you trying to say? Like, oh, as far as getting in my son's business, and immediately, Tokyo Tony was like, no, I don't think you're as bad as Mama D. And I just feel like any other time Tokyo is shading Carlissa, or maybe she really genuinely feels like she's not as bad. In comes Mama D, and she looks great. Mama D looks really, really good. And so they were saying like how Tokyo Tony and Carlissa were matching. They were saying that, Tia looked like a PI, like she looked like a pimp. And so she was like, Mama D, so do I look like a pimp? Not giving pimp? She was like, well, I don't know. You got your track sneakers on, like you fitting to hit the blade, like you fitting to, hit the track or whatever. And she was just like, nah, ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody doing that. And Mama D comes out in her full PI madam moment. You know what I mean? She was like, don't go on to the other side of the track because you might not get back. So they asked her, they just like, well, are you still in the game? Like, what is it giving? She was just like, nah, I ain't in the game, but I got a couple of chicks right now that'll probably bring me out of retirement. But I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling. You talked about Martin Luther King. She was like, I don't want to be disrespectful to his legacy, but Martin Luther King had a dream so I could sell it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this lady already out the gate, coming in hot, coming in swinging. So they just hop into it. They just hop into her history of being a madam, being a madam, if you don't know, is just a woman, PIMP. And, they kind of go into that early on, you know what I mean? And she was just like, listen, I had to do what I had to do. I was educated. I was a RN nurse. I got into a head-on collision and I had a hip, a fake hip and a fake knee, which I still have on me to this day. And I had to make it work. Basically, she got into a situation where she was so jammed up, so jacked up that she had to do what she had to do so that way she can, provide for her 2 children. And so she was just like, listen, when we had these kids, there ain't no manual. It's nothing for me to say, like, oh, well, I would do this and I would do that. We literally out here just doing our best. And that's what I had to do. I had to figure out what I was finna do. And even my mama said that she wouldn't have done it. But guess what? I'm not my mom. And I did what needed to be done. And I feel like Tokyo Tony really related to her a lot in this interview. You could tell how she kind of like was at times Tokyo Tony's, or not Tokyo Tony's, Mama D's interpreter for the other ladies, for the other women who don't really understand that life and that lifestyle. Now, I like to see Tokyo Tony in a different light because we all know she's a pick me. She want to give it up. She want to be the finest, baddest, sexiest. You got to be the one that's everybody likes and everything like this. And she still did it, but in a way that is kind of more relatable because Mama D and Tokyo Tony, as far as background and upbringings and worlds that they lived in, they have more in common than they don't. And so, she basically saying, there's a difference between a square bitch and a thorough bitch. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't really understand that. You feel what I'm saying? And I feel like Tokyo Tony was just really giving her alley oops. You feel what I'm saying? Like, well, she's saying it because she's saying that she had to do what she had to do. Like, it's gonna be a square chick that's out here that's like, oh, I don't know, and this, that, and the third. It's gonna be a thorough chick that's gonna stand on her all 10 and make sure it always gets done. Now listen, I think that this whole square bitch and thorough bitch, one kind of puts down the other, right? I think that is very much like one of those situations where, like, if you of that word, if you in that word, then you are. If you're not, you're not. Everybody going to figure out a way how to, get what they got to get. It's much like, when we talk about now, that's TV girls and they be out here, banging and shit like that. Girl, I have no clue about anything. I don't talk about it. I don't know about it. It's one of those things where I've seen it and I understand. I understand that shit ain't my lane. You feel what I mean? And so it's just one of those situations where if you are a square chicken, it's not your lane. The fact that you know that you're square and you're not going to dip your toe and you're not going to, impede and do this and do that, you thorough. To me, I feel like any she can be thorough if she know her lane and stick to it, whether that's selling pussy, ass, you know what I mean, selling t-shirts out the back of your car, going to school, getting a degree. If you know your lane, sister, stick to it and go all the way. That's how I feel about it. So, I think that, Tia was on her head top. Tia was on her head, like, well, what you mean? Because I don't care what you talking about. I was working as a what was she? What are they called? Like leasing agents or what? Property manager. I was managing over 400, units, and I was doing what I had to do for me and my kids. But Tia, that was you. That was you, Tia. That was you. That was what you had to do. You know what I mean? Everybody got different lifestyles. Everybody got different walks in this journey. So I feel like, she trying to like play Mama D in that sense. Like, girl, you was doing all that, doing all this. But Mama D said, listen, you know, I walk closely with God. I made amends. I understand what I had to do and I don't regret nothing. I'm standing on what it is, but da, 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 da. And Tokyo Tony was a lot on Mama D's side. You feel what I'm saying? So they asked her, well, have you stopped? Have you stopped doing what you're doing? And she was just like, it's one of those things that I've turned what I was doing illegally and made it legal for me. You feel what I'm saying? So Tokyo laughing, ha ha ha, dapping it up because it's like, once you hot, it's hard to settle down. You already know. It's just one of those things that it's like, once you turned out, ain't no turning back. Okay, once you turn out, ain't no turning back. If you outside and you in that lifestyle, a lot of these girls that get money fast. This is why a lot of bitches can't leave the strip clubs. This is why a lot of bitches can't leave this track. This is why a lot of if you start tricking, you going to forever be a 304 because it's one of those things like you in this lifestyle now, baby. Ain't no turning back. You feel me? How you go from getting X amount of dollars in a day and you got to punch in the clock and do something completely different, especially if you started doing this while you were young. Um, so I don't know. I just feel like seeing Tokyo Tony and Mama D in this situation, like you can definitely see where they have had like similar experiences. You feel what I'm saying? And so they was like, well, have you ever tried to about one of your son's girls or whatever the case, and you doing it in a different way? She gonna say, don't none of my son just qualify. I said, oh my God, this fucking girl. So they was talking about so Carlissa gonna say, well, I heard that when you start telling lies, your teeth fall out. That's what my grandma used to say, like your teeth was falling out, in that video or whatever. She said, yeah, well, my tooth fell out, but Dr. Heavenly fixed that. You know what I'm saying? And so Tokyo was like, yeah, because if your teeth fell out, you got the money to fix it. She said, no, I ain't even had the money to fix it. I appreciate, her being so honest and transparent. Like, girl, I ain't even had the money to fix that shit, but God is always working and fixing on me. You know what I mean? Period, point blank. She said, nah, my teeth don't fall out when I lie, but I heard that your gums grow when you lie. I know that for a fact. That was just a shot at Bambi, child. Leave Bambi and them gums alone. Maybe Dr. Heavenly can cut her damn gums back or something like this. Well, they talk about the divorce party that they had with prescribing. She was like, well, couldn't you have spent that money somewhere else? Couldn't you have went somewhere else and get that money? Said, girl, TV paid for that shit. TV paid for that shit. So they talk about Erica. She's like, you know what? Erica is like me a lot. Erica is like me. She's business smart, this and that. So who would you choose? Who would you choose? So she won't say, I can't choose. That's my son's choice. Mama D, that's not fair at all. Because we done seen you season after season, year after year, push a whole bunch of put onto your son. We done seen you year after year parade share around when you know that your son is in a whole different, relationship. We done seen you put him onto or try to put him on to so many different people. And now it's like, oh yeah, nah, I can't choose. Girl, please go to hell. Because we already know. She's like, listen, as a mom, at the end of the day, your kids is gonna bring home trash. And I grew up thinking that I had to bring home, I had to take out the trash. That's how I grew up. So I'm the cleanup woman. You feel what I'm saying? My sons, your kids is gonna bring home some trash, and I'm gonna have to clean it up. You know what I'm saying? So Tia's going on and on and on, like, well, why would you try to make it seem like to Bambi that Shay was, or that Scrappy was Shay's baby dad. You feel what I'm saying? Like, why would you insinuate that? And she was just like, well, listen, I knew that she was an insecure woman. I knew that she was an insecure woman. So I said that, you know what I mean? And Tia was like, well, that was wrong. That was wrong. She was like, well, if she was my daughter-in-law, she should have came to me and I would have told her sincere that ain't his baby. Now, here's where the fuck she lost me, because one, that's abusive. You feel what I'm saying? That's fucked up. That's abusive. Why would you do that? You get what I'm saying? That's just terrible to even think about, because this lady just had a baby. Shay coming out with a baby. Like, why would you stir the pot like that? That is just ugly and nasty and messy. There's no way to justify that. Talking about something, she was my daughter-in-law, she would come to me. Yeah, the hell right. You will be the last person, quite literally the last person I will go to, because you're unsafe for me. Some of these women, these moms, these old school moms be so like just outrageous with some of the things that they do, some of the things that they say. Like, girl, are you listening to what you're saying? Are you okay? Like, girl, that's ridiculous. That's not realistic at all. So Tokyo asked her again, well, who would you pick for your son? Anybody in the industry. And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. Basically, that's what she was saying. My son is a soft pink. You get what I'm saying? As soon as they make a baby bomb, he turn on me. And it's like the way that these women have emotional obligations and emotional attachments to their sons as if they're their husbands need to be studied. The moment my son has a baby with somebody, he turns on me. Like, how is one thing related to the other? That is because you feel like you should be the head woman, the head queen in his life. However, when you are married, the son and the wife are now their own union. Instead of you aging gracefully, being a matriarch, you competing with the wife spot. And that's what happens when a whole bunch of women have never been wives, moms included. They still competing to be the wife of their son, because nobody in they real life ever made them a wife. You feel what I'm saying? And so it cycles through generationally. The mom is causing all this chaos and dysfunction between the marriage. The son is confused. He don't know what to choose, because he probably the first nigga to ever make somebody a wife for real. He don't got no standard, no guideline, no help. This crumbles. And then so the cycle continues and the kids suffer. You feel what I'm saying? Black women, I mean, I love us for real. I love Black women to infinity, to infinity. And I'm not talking about the young, I'm talking about the old, just too. Oh, just will cause some issue in your life, girl. Don't these listen, let me move on. Let me move on. Okay. So anyway, so he was just like, I wouldn't choose anybody, but then they started getting into Ernest. She was like, well, are you still with Ernest or whatever? She was like, yeah, you all still together. He's like, girl, you done put him in jail. She was like, you goddamn right, I put him in jail. So apparently, allegedly, Ernest was out here getting Mama Dee's money, because at this time, Scrappy was taking care of Mama Dee. She had just had gastro surgery. And so while she was down and out, Ernest was going around getting the money from Scrap that was supposed to be taking care of Mama Dee. And Ernest was outside tricking and stealing money. So Tia was like, oh, you mad because your son out here spending money and tricking on these other women. He ain't doing it on you, and you going to take your nigga back. She's like, no, he went down the road like he was supposed to, but he came back around because that's mine. I'm classy and sassy. Like, she just keeping it all the way real. She also admits that he gave her chlamydia. You know what I'm saying? And what I can say about this is a lot of y'all walking around here with burning coochies, with burning peens, and ain't saying nothing. It's very rare when you dealing with a whole bunch of infidelity. STDs, STIs are very, very rare when you have multiple sex partners. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. Everybody's talking about, a polygamous lifestyle, and we're outside, we're sexually fluid, we're throuple, but nobody want to talk about the negative side is that it causes a little issue with your body. It's going to cause a little issue with your pH if y'all all not on that same plane. Talk about him. Yeah, he gave me the clap. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all need to be talking a little bit louder. Let's have a full picture here. But she said she kept on there like, oh Lord, oh no, oh no, oh no. I can't, whatever the case. And she was like, listen, I love my man, and that is what it is. You know what I mean? So KARLISSA talks about, being 70 years old. KARLISSA was on her head top. Carlissa about being 70 years old. I don't want to be 70 years old doing that. I don't want to be 70 years old doing that. So Mama Dee kept saying, girl, I'm 60 years old, first of all, first and foremost. And she looks great. They talk about Bambi's mom, and she was like, that raggedy wench, I done let her stay in my rental. I was driving the Ford. It wasn't even paid off. And I told her she could stay in my house. And I beat that whore up, this, that, and the third. So listen, let me tell you something. Mama D was keeping it so real. She even had Tokyo Tony at. Do you hear what I'm saying? Tokyo could believe it.
I still not had paid that off. Was lending a helping hand.
Oh my goodness.
Girl, now she did not had the she was in a rental and had not paid off the Ford Edge and had that lady and Ernest had to come on and say, get this bad seed out your house. So she got real smoke for Bambi's mom. And Bambi's mom looked like she was a little rough around the edges. They talk about alcoholism. His Mama D, was drinking a lot. And she said, listen, what advice do you have for girls who are suffering with alcoholism? She's like, well, how do you get off of it? She said, well, first and foremost, once you are alcoholic, you are always in recovery. That's the thing. That's true. If you are addicted to anything, you're never fully recovered. You're always in recovery. And she said, all I can say is just drink responsibly. Girl, that don't help no damn body. Drink responsibly. Girl, I'm alcoholic. Anyway. So they talk about, they were just, doing some banter. She started singing, do you want to rhyme? And I'm backseat and I can't eat no chow down and do or die. I love that. Like, that's a little ghetto. It's something about a hood mama, a hood auntie that I love so much. It just reminds me of like my own family. Although I know that it's dysfunctional and things could have been better, so much better. It's just something that's a little nostalgic about it. The fact that she started rapping do or die, like, girl, that tells me everything I need to know. So they talk about her favorite position. She's talking about some put aluminum foil on balls and all this and all that. I'm like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. So she talking about Jesus, and then she tried to relate it to balls. She was like, listen, he died on the cross one time. He knows me. He died on that cross, and I was well before this and the third. So Chris is like, we not about to start talking about Jesus balls and same. Carlissa is real sanctified. So they asked about her body count. Tokyo Tony said she had 4. They all had 4 quarters. She was like, girl, I see what you're saying. Mama D is saying basically what she was saying, like, girl, that's fucking me is giving me some money. That's all you need to worry about. Mama D said she had 10 bodies. Carlissa said, you lying, girl. Why the hell you 70 years old talking about some you got some 10 bodies? How the hell you know what you got? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? She was making money back in the day. She was probably slinging that coochie all around. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she kept it on lock because she knew what she had. I don't know. So they talk about, what if, and the idea that we're still talking about body counts and at this big age, that's rooted in purity politics, y'all. That is not what people usually do. It's rooted in the idea that, you have to be a white Christian, pure woman with a chastity belt on in order to be desirable to men. It's not true. It's rooted in anti-blackness, anti-woman, and it's just not a real thing. Well, anyway, Scrappy says, they talk about Scrappy like, well, what if Scrappy wanted to marry Erica? And he was like, well, child, cool. Bad Bambi and Scrappy done drained me so bad. I'm good off that. He can marry whoever he want to marry. I'm good. I'm old. I don't even have a womb. I done had a hysterectomy. And I don't know what's going on. A lot of Black women are getting a lot of hysterectomies at a very, very early age. I don't know what's going on, but I want to do some more research about that because, girl, why are you letting them cut your womb out? But anyway, if you have to do it to save your life, but sister, it's something I'm just seeing so many people, young girls, I'm talking about in their 30s, late 20s, they're talking about, so you got a hysterectomy. What the fuck is going on? Anyway, they said, well, if you could name your Cuda cat, what would you name it? She said, well, I used to be a stallion back in the day, but now I'm more like a Clydesdale. And a Clydesdale, nobody can ride a Clydesdale. You get what I'm saying? It's just a horse that trots, but nobody rides. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. They asked if she ever kissed a girl. She said no. Or been with a girl. She said, no, I'm not into bumping no box. I ain't into, no Cuda cat, but I did kiss a girl one time. She had a quickie on a train. Talking about she had a quickie on a MARTA train, which is like the Atlanta metro like train system. Like, girl, that's ridiculous. Like, that's like having a quickie on a transit bus. Okay, well, you listen, she kept it all the way real. And so she was like, did you ever have to beat a girl up? And she was like, yes, I did. This girl done ran off with my money. She tried to go with her ex-pimp, but she said, listen, I was never a gorilla pimp. You know what I'm saying? I got kids. I don't want nobody touching on my kids, but because all these things I want to do is break you down. I wasn't into that, but I had to put my hands on her, and then she gets emotional. You know what I'm saying? She said when I came onto this platform, I was hired. And I'm saying hired specifically. I was hired to share my life, and I did that. People judging me and everything like this, and she said, it is what it is. However, I don't want to be challenged on my motherhood. I did what I thought was best. I did what I thought I could do for my child, and that's a very touchy subject for her. A part of me understands. A part of me understands because it's like you barely get her. Well, she said, her children's fathers was, involved with their life, but you barely get help. You got to do what you got to do. She had a major life-changing accident, and she did the best. You feel what I'm saying? Now, if your best was good enough, could you still be ongoing? Could you still do things differently? That's something and that we can discuss later, but she gets emotional about it. And I believed her too. I believed her. But, they go into her advice and she said, you got to love yourself. You can't be saying that you want to give love to other people and you don't know how to love yourself. And I dig her on that. I really do feel her on that completely. She's also to have some balance with your life. Really simple, straightforward. And Carlissa's advice to her was, stop messing with Scrappy. Like, leave him alone and let him this and the third. And then Carlissa just gets so emotional out of nowhere. And she's like, my son is in jail behind these bitches. He's in jail and she's in this house. And then, Tokyo Tony says some real shit. I much rather nigga be sat down than to lay down. I love that for real. You know what I mean? That both of them was tragic, but one is less tragic. Let's be so for real. And, not Carlissa, but Mama D goes into how she was a funeral home director, or she worked at a funeral home for some time. And, she's seen a lot of people who ain't here no more. You got to live your life. These kids ain't going to listen to you anyway. They don't listen. They're not going to listen. But look at this hug she was giving to Carlissa. Carlissa was really hurting. That Casamigos was really on her. And I'm wondering when this must have been when Krishan was still out and living in his house. And I'm amazed at the lack of accountability that she puts onto her son. Truly. He's in jail because of some women. You know what I mean? Yeah, he assaulted a woman or something like this, but I think that these moms their sons just can do no wrong, and it's just to their detriment. Do I think that the woman he involved himself with plays a part in how he landed in jail? Sure. That's anybody. Anybody who you surround yourself with is going to directly impact how you show up and the things that you're into. Period, point blank. And so that works both ways. And, I think that it was cool that they shared that little bit, that little sweet moment. Carlissa, she's really just, out of it. I would like to see Mama D on like a soft white underbelly interview. I would like to see more of her story. Tokyo Tony, not for nothing too. She fits the bill. She really fits the bill. But Tokyo Tony, she did well. Tia, she was doing her thing. And I feel like this was a good episode. It could have been more entertaining. Mama D did not come to play. She was, there doing her big one. She did not care. She was like, listen, I'm keeping it all the real world. She was staying in my rental. And I was paying off my 4 edge and I beat that hoe up. You know what I'm saying? Scrappy and Bambi, they got it. I ain't got nothing else for them. I'm done. You get what I'm saying? She gave a little bit to Carlissa, and Tia did her own thing. Now let's get into my final thoughts and recaps. This is how I feel. Carlissa, she did a lot of projecting throughout this interview because you did all of this with Mama D and your son, and I don't want to be 70 years old and this, that, and the third. But deep down inside, sister, you were just hurting. And nobody can relate to her. Like Tokyo Tony can relate to her in a way because of, the sex work and the street life. Carlissa can relate to her in a way of having a son who was a star. Then get some notoriety as a parent, but then still trying to protect them. And I like that Mama D offered her some real, like y'all saw how deep she was in that hug. She gave her a real hug, and hopefully she can connect with her because it's nothing like having somebody who went through something similar. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, girl. Oh my gosh, Sheree, it's okay. You didn't make your content, bitch, but you don't really know what it takes. You don't really know what it takes. You only a person who's out here producing content, making things, and doing and being creative in this way, like, can really truly understand. You feel what I'm saying? Mama D looks good, but she did no work to really kind of heal herself. And I feel like that's big in a lot of women who are her age or younger. The moms become parents and they become parents early. They become parents early, and it's like they just stop growing as a person because they're now surviving and they now have to put on and do for their child. And this is just a personal tidbit, unrelated to the review, but this is something that I am aware of. One, just as a Black woman, but two, now as a mother. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I need to work on myself so that way I am not out here causing more harm to my children than necessary, than needed. You feel me? And I feel like a lot of these old head, old time, old school moms don't really care. Oh, I did my best and my best wasn't good enough. Oh, well, I tried. But like, did you? You know what I'm saying? Could you have done better? Could you have done better? Um, so it is what it is. I don't know. I just feel like she looks good, but she could do better. Tia was really, really judgmental this episode. Tia was very, very judgmental this episode. I don't know why. I think because she come from a different background. She had the boss baby daddy and she had 3 other children, but she was working and, this, that, and the third. And I just feel like I didn't like how judgmental she was for Mama D being a madam or a pimp or whatever, because a lot of times women are in these situations out of necessity. The ones who's out here popping the puss and the ones that's out here managing. Men I feel differently about, but women most times, 9 times out of 10, I'm talking about men pimps, y'all. I think that men pimps pray. I think women pray too, but I feel like a lot of times women are in these sex worker situations because of necessity and need. And I would never judge a woman that is getting to her coins. I'm a judge a woman for not being a stand-up mom. I'm a judge a woman for putting hurting and harming some children, whether they're hers or somebody else. I respect a bitch that's out here selling pussy over a bitch that's out here robbing. You know what I'm saying? Robbing the elderly, taking shit that don't even belong to you. You jamming people up like this. Not unless you robbing the rich. You know what I mean? Playing Peter Pan or something. Not Peter Pan, Robin Hood. You out here playing Robin Hood, sister. Then okay, cool. But you out here, robbing and doing a whole bunch of extra shit to the regular niggas in your hood. Making it harder. I don't respect that. I'm gonna respect just out here. That's like, listen, I'm gonna get out here and grind it. And again, I have a personal history with people in my family who who was outside, y'all, and these were some of the best people that I've known. You feel me? So I can never um shame a bitch that's out here moving in a way that's one respectable. You know what I mean? Because there's some bitches that's out here that's just weird. Y'all weird. Y'all know who the weirdo. I'm not talking about no weirdos. I'm talking about real chicks who, yeah, I mean, they got to do what they got to do. I'm always, shout out one time for the one time and, recognize that. But Tia was really, really judgmental. I don't like that for her. But I want to know what y'all think. I want to know what y'all think about this episode. Was Mama D enough? What could we see something different? How y'all feel about KARLISSA? And what about Pick Me Tokyo? She was very much chilling in this episode. Let me know what y'all think. Drop down in the comments. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.